Today we're comparing all three ice barrels. I have the biggest IceBarrel 500, the OG IceBarrel 400, and the IceBarrel 300, which is at a different house. And I'm gonna go through what it's like getting in and out of these tubs, the experience of having them over a period of time, what I like and don't like about them, and which one is actually worth your money. I was sent these for free, but I do have discount codes and affiliate links down below. If you do click that, it'll save you some money and help support the channel so we can keep making videos like this. The first one we'll start with is the IceBarrel 400. This is our OG. It's also kind of the middle option in terms of size and weight and style. The OG has this very nice lid. I do love that the lid has a protruding top, so if it rains, snows, whatever, it all slides off. Very important if you have this outside in a non-covered area. Anytime you need to use it, you just take the lid off. It's pretty light. You can put it off to the side. The things that I do like about this barrel is that it's tall. My nipples are about here. It comes to my belly button. I'm about 6 feet tall. I do have a longer torso than average, shorter legs. So if I want to get in this, be able to really make sure my shoulders are in, this makes it extremely easy. It's the easiest one out of all of them because this one does not have a seat. It's just a plain looking regular barrel. It's sturdy, it's gonna withstand weather. I've tossed this around, I've let friends borrow this. It's been scratched up, beaten up, but it still works. The things that I don't like about this is the steps. Steps are a little bit small, especially if you have big feet, and they're not attached to the actual barrel itself. So it can be a little wobbly. We don't have the best flooring here. So when I climb onto this, right, if I could fall, right? If I'm not doing this properly when I need to climb out, the height, right, from here up to here is about to my shin. So if I try to climb in, it's a bit hard. Now, if you look down, I'm trying to step in. I have 1 foot on the stairs. I'm still about 1.5 feet away from the bottom of the barrel. So the thing I don't like about this one is it's very hard to get in and out, right? Even if I go in and my crotch is not lined up, my leg still doesn't touch the floor. So you kind of have to sit on the ledge, place your body weight, and then while you're holding yourself, you got to bring the other leg over while doing kind of like a tricep dip and extension. So in terms of the experience of getting in and out of this tub, it's the worst, it's the hardest one, and I really don't like it, but it can look cool for photos. If you're strong, you're able, this is great to be like, all right, let's go. Tricep, put my leg in, wrap my other leg up and around. Oh, see? Now when I'm getting out, if I'm like, all right, here's the steps, I could easily fall. So that's where it gets a little dangerous. You wanna make sure you place your foot in the middle and then you climb up and around. Being in it feels great. You can crouch down, right? So if let's just say there's no seats, it's definitely small. I can crouch down and sit in it and I'll fit, right? The water will go up to my neck. If I want to go all the way down, I even can because there is no seat, so I can go as low as I want in the barrel and fit pretty well. In terms of width, right, it's wider than my shoulders, so it's easy to get in and out. If you are larger than me in terms of width and height, that's where it gets a bit challenging. But for anyone smaller than me, being in it, great. Getting in and out, not so great. The next piece is the insulation. There is no insulation on this, so it's just the water will heat up faster over time. The walls are a bit thinner. If you have a water chiller connected to this, it's gonna spend more energy and time keeping it cool. There is only one hole, it's down here. You can plug the water out on a water chiller here to get some water out. But what's nice is this one's super light. Like this is the lightest one because there's no insulation. It comes with a base plate, also a cover to put on it to protect it from the elements if you want. But this thing looks like a wine barrel. It's easy to carry around. I can move it, I can dump it in a car for events. That stuff is valuable, but there's one big downside, and that's to draining it. So if you come look at it, this one also has water at the bottom, and this is from rain. I actually haven't used this barrel for months. We just have it for visually pleasing looks, but there's a little bit of water here, right? And you can see if I tilt it, I can get 90% of the water by just opening up the spout, and then I can get the last 9% by leaning it over. But there's still 1% of water left that will not come out. And you're like, okay, that's not a lot of water, Shervin. Watch this. With all the other tubs, what do I need to do? I gotta lean it to the side, maybe turn it upside down. But there's something that happens here, which I don't like about this tub, which can be useful maybe if you don't want water to spill. But the water is still inside. If you look at that, the water's still inside. So if you go down, I'm gonna lean it into the floor and look into the barrel. I'm gonna turn it upside down. What happens to the water? It won't pour out. And that's because there's this lip here that keeps the water inside. So I don't know how to get the rest of the water out. But if you're inside a place and you don't want the water to spill anywhere, this is nice because it keeps the water contained, but it doesn't help much when you're trying to drain it. So I've never figured out how to get the last % of water out. You could probably drill a hole here and use that as a draining mechanism, but so far no good. Base plate is nice, it keeps it sturdy. Don't climb in and out of this when there's no water. Right now there's no water. If I try to climb in, I could easily knock it over. So make sure to fill it up first before you climb into this. I wish the draining was on the very, very bottom, like some bathtubs that's also kind of hard to do. But this is the IceBarrel 400. Let's go check out the IceBarrel 300. All right, now this is the IceBarrel 300. This is our smallest one, actually. It is the widest. It's a full circle, and it's actually the shortest. I am 6 feet tall, but I do have a slightly longer torso than average. My legs are a little bit shorter, so for me, sitting in this, I'm gonna have my shoulders out a little bit higher. I'll show you what it's like to get in and out of it, and actually using it at my size. There's a little bench, if you peek inside. It's super small, maybe like 2 to 4 inches high on this side, and then the other side, you can kind of rest your legs. If you want to head dunk, I think some people just recommend sit backwards. So I'm gonna show you how I fit in it personally. If you're a smaller human than me, this is definitely gonna work. If you're bigger, that's where it gets a bit challenging. That's why I have my friend Chris, who's gonna show us. He's 6'3". So if we go ahead and sit inside here, the thing I love about the IceBarrel 300 is that I can just rest my arms on top of the edges like this, and it just feels like very relaxed. That I can kind of like rest back on here. My arms and my shoulders are pretty much at the height at the top of the barrel. I can sit up a little bit higher if I need to, or lower. And it's not slippery on the inside. If you do want to fit a second person in here, I could potentially squeeze and have someone next to me. That option is there. And then in terms of getting out, it's pretty easy to step out. I don't even need to use my hands if I don't want to. This is the only IceBarrel that doesn't need stairs, so I really do appreciate that. And then the lid. So one thing about using your ice bath or whatever it is, important where it's easy to put the lid on and off and not have to worry about it. So I love that this is just super easy. You don't have to think much. And then if it rains or snows, you want a lid that's slightly taller in the middle, and the rain and snow will fall outside of it, because if not, the pressure will press down in the center. Sadly, from the sunlight, I think the extreme heat has slightly warped the lid on the top here. So just be careful if you're leaving it outside. You want to make sure any of these ice barrels, they do have a cover that you can put on, and that's just gonna help protect the IceBarrel overall to minimize any kind of warping that can occur. One thing I do love about the 300 and the 500, which the 400 does not have, is insulation. So this is slightly insulated. It's going to help keep the water cooler. One of the downsides, though, is because this is all black, and if it's in the sun like it is right now, it's going to absorb a lot of heat. It can get very hot. So if I have my temperature gun here, we go ahead and select it. The lid is 130 degrees Fahrenheit. That's freaking hot. I've seen it as high as 150. I mean, we're currently based here in California, and it is 72 degrees Fahrenheit outside with a very bright sunlight. It's just super sunny today. Just knowing that it's not even like above 80 right now. So it's still pretty warm. When it comes to draining it, I do highly recommend you make sure that the port is in a direction where the water can drain, or you can get a hose and plug the hose in and then carry this water wherever you need to. And then when it comes to fully draining it, this is probably the easiest out of all the ice barrels to drain. So once we've emptied it fully out, the port is not all the way at the bottom. As you can see, maybe 4 inches from the floor. So once it's fully drained, there's still some water inside, and what you need to do is kind of turn the entire thing and get the rest of the water out. And because this is the shortest tub, it's the easiest to flip over, whereas the other two ice barrels are relatively harder. All right, I'm here with Everyday Chris, and we have the IceBarrel 300. Chris is 6'3", which is this many centimeters, and he weighs about 195 pounds, so he's bigger than me, in terms of height at least. And we're gonna see how he fits in the tub, what it's like for him to get in and out. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
The water temperature is 42 degrees, 41, 42? 40.
Is that a solid ice temperature?
Yeah, that's a good temperature.
All right.
Oh,
this is nice.
Yeah? Is it pretty comfortable?
Surprisingly, yes. I do wish there was maybe like something I could sit on, but...
So the bench is actually on this side, but it's very small.
I watched the TikToks.
Yeah.
First step is control your breathing. Can't feel my fingers. Now I'm like, there's a period where you start to feel it, where everything starts to tingle.
Obviously, because he's a bigger human, he takes up more volume, so the water overflowed. Whereas when I get in, it's probably gonna be a little bit lower. So when you have, maybe a small person and a big person, you want to make sure the water's at the right level for both people. So
a lot of health benefits, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of why, like, mentally, as long as I know those health benefits, I can do it.
You're gonna be more productive.
Yes.
How's the experience getting in and out of it?
Not too bad. I like how it's not too high.
Yeah.
Because I can't feel my legs. I like it because, you're not in here for that long, right?
Yeah.
Just in like 2-3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes tops. I like how it's very small, so it doesn't take a lot of space. My backyard isn't that big. So I don't want something that takes a lot of space, something that I can move easily. When I'm done with it, I could drain it out. It's plastic, so definitely easy to move around. So for me, it's like a nice first time cold plunge.
Yeah.
With all that health benefits, that's perfect.
All right, now that the IceBarrel 300 is over, we're gonna transition over to the next level. Let's hop over to New York. We're gonna check out the biggest and baddest one, the IceBarrel 500, baby. This is the IceBarrel 500, the last and final one. In terms of size, it is the largest. These are the dimensions. Like when I lay down, it's almost to the top of my head. So it's about a human size length in terms of width. When I stand beside it, it's almost my shoulder length in terms of width. So it's very long and not that wide. Now when it comes to weatherproofing, you can see there's a little bit of water on here, so it rained last night. Most of the water runs off and it'll dry mostly when the sun comes out. So I think that's really important. Depending on if you don't have it covered, you do want a very solid cover on the top. But if you don't, there is potential that warping tends to begin, especially if it's getting direct sunlight. Now the weight with and without the water, I think this is a little over 100 pounds without water. When you add in the water, these things can weigh 900 to 1,000 pounds. So keep that in mind. When it comes to actually going in and out of this one, it's my favorite. It's the easiest. The stairs are attached, so I can go ahead, walk right in. There's this seat, which kind of acts as another step. So it's good to have a seat. And then I can go ahead and sit all the way down into the plunge itself. And this is how I fit. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I'm 210 pounds-ish. I'm a very wide human in terms of shoulders. I have a little bit of a gap here on each side of the shoulders. I have some space with my knees. If you are above 6'2", that's where this kind of gets a little bit more challenging, depending on your leg length and your torso length. So if I want to get my shoulders in, I can scoot my butt forward, press my knees up against the front, and kind of slouch a little bit. If I want to dunk, I'd have to press my head down. But this is kind of all the space that you get in here. And then in terms of the drain output and input, they're right here. So if you do connect an ice chiller, you're gonna have water coming in through here and circulating water near the top. Now climbing out, there are multiple ways to do it. I like to kind of just step up, and then I use these kind of sides to kind of hold on to myself as I step out and around. So for the most part, this is my favorite IceBarrel of getting in and out. You have that seated position, which IceBarrel is known for. They build all their products to be in that prone position. That's something they pride themselves in. You're not gonna find a lay down tub at IceBarrel. There are other brands for that. So in terms of insulation, this is insulated, as you can see. Two reasons that's important. One, it keeps the water cold, especially in the heat. It's not gonna keep it cold forever, but it's gonna keep it cold a little bit longer. Two is condensation. When you don't have insulation and the water inside is cold, you'll have condensation on the outside, and especially if this is inside, it'll drip water on the outside. But because this is insulated, you will not have water dripping on the outside of the tub. Now when it comes to filling and draining this, you grab a hose, fill it up. Takes your standard 20 to 30 minutes-ish to fill it up, depends on how high you want the water levels. Draining, I'm not in love with how most cold plunges are. The draining tube is a couple inches above the flooring. You're gonna have some water left in. So right now, as you can see, I drained this entirely if you look down here, but we still have some water left, and this is actually residual from rain, I'm pretty sure. Even though we have the lid on, some rain is getting in. I have to come here and grab the steps, and I have to tilt it to get all the water out. So that's one way, is tilting it so to allow all the water to go out of the spout. The other way is I can lean it to the side this way to make sure all the water gets out. And this one doesn't have the ribbed lids like the other IceBarrel, so the water all comes out. You can go ahead and kind of flip it, and this is the best way to drain it. It's not ideal that you have to do that, but that's kind of what you're stuck with. Now you might be curious, what does the bottom look like? So the foundation where the water goes will touch the floor, because obviously if it doesn't, it will sag. And then the stairs are actually hollow. So this space is actually hollow. We already have some spider webs in there. That also allows it to be lighter in terms of weight. You can see this is pretty easy to move around and shuffle with it. Now, IceBarrel is coming out with their own water chiller, and there are 2 ports here. So only the 500 and the 300 have these water chiller ports. This is gonna be the water goes in. This is the water coming out. You will unscrew these, make sure there's no water in, and then you can install the tubing for a water chiller. You can get an adapter, get your DIY water chiller. If you have a different brand you want, you just need to make sure the threading and the tubing is the right size. For both, you connect in and out, and then you can have continuously circulating clean water and have it water cooled. In terms of my favorite IceBarrel, this is my favorite. If I were to buy one and I have the space, I would get the 500. If I don't have the space and I want something compact, I would get the 300. It is much shorter, it's easy to get in and out, doesn't take up a lot of space, but that one I just like because it's easy to drain and maintain. The OG, like, it's cool, it's nice. Yes, you could probably buy a trash can that looks similar, and this one does not have insulation. It's the OG. I like it. I would love one where it's insulated and the lips on the top are not curved in, so it's easier to drain water out of it. Since you enjoyed this video, make sure to go watch my video where I compare all the best ice baths and cold plunges. I'm not tied to a specific brand. I try to share everything I can about all the brands that are out there. The video is linked right here. Follow me on all the socials at Shares. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.